With that, let's give a warm welcome to our first speaker, Adam Bednář, the co-founder of Noove, a company that connects students with real-world challenges while helping decision-makers tap into fresh, young talent. Tonight, he's here to inspire us all, to challenge boundaries, embrace creativity, and see life as a sandbox for exploration. Please join me in welcoming Adam Bednář.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me. I want to tell you my personal story of why I think the world is supposed to be your sandbox. A few years ago, I was sitting in the chairs just like you in my school, and I was wondering if this is really the path I want to take. Well, back then, I didn't know I'll become an entrepreneur. It was something like this. Am I somewhere where I'm supposed to be? I didn't know. But the point is, we're all lost. We live in a generation where you have extremism on the internet. You have extreme ideas flowing through you from every single site you visit. And then you have the real world, where people basically tell you you have to have good grades and conform to whatever they say, be obedient. And you remember how it was back where you were playing with sandcastles with your Lego, when you had the whole world for yourself, when you were playful and you could do anything you ever imagined? And I think it should be like this even later on in your life. I want this speech to show you that you can play around and create your own rule book, your own set of rules that will keep you going through life, that will help you navigate tough situations, but that will most importantly give you freedom. If you look at this is some kind of an abyss. So as we grow up, we fall into this abyss of expectations, to have good grades, to go to a great university, to marry, to get a corporate job, and then to have a nice pension in high taxes. I didn't like this idea very much. I always felt like it gives me a lot of constraints on what I can do. Like it keeps me sort of locked up behind some traditional algorithm that works for everyone. And I wasn't very happy about it. So if you're sitting here and you're kind of scared of these constraints and you don't want to have the kind of traditional way in life, I want you all to think of your life and all the decisions you make and basically imagine which of them have the highest risk to reward ratio, so we don't fall into this abyss. Before that, let me show you how my life would look like if I followed the normal path. You see me here having good grades, a corporate job, marrying, being stuck in the corporate job, and then having the pension. But no, 5 years ago, when I was only 15, I decided to write an email to the Ministry of Education. And what I wrote was basically, hey guys, let me help you. 5 years ago, it was the time of COVID. Our schools closed down. So we had no education at all. I didn't know what to do. I had no classes, and I had no vision for my life. I could not even get the good grades, right? Because there was no tests to write. So basically, what I said in the email is, I have a group of students who are willing to help you in the Ministry of Education, and we want to teach teachers how to work with computers. What it turned out to be, as they replied, was that they needed help with their crisis website. So imagine they had one person for the whole crisis communication through pandemic. Well, a week later, they had 13 high school students. And it was one of the highest risk to reward decisions I ever had. Because I didn't know anything about leading a team. I didn't know how to send a proper email, right? I didn't know how to do web development. And most importantly, I didn't know what is crisis communication. This is how it looked, right? It was just a bunch of 15-year-olds trying to do something big, something worthy of our time. And so what we managed to do in less than a year is have over 5.5 million sessions on the website and create a website which supported the whole communication between governments, or our Slovak government, teachers, parents, and students. So thanks to this cooperation and this website, we managed to support, I would say, at least 1 million people on their way to have better education. And the important lesson there was that we were not scared to reach out, that we managed to ask questions and not scared of hearing the answers. So I was always asking myself, am I ready for this? Right? Imagine leading a team of 13 people. You're just literally sitting there, you're reading a management book in one hand, and on the other hand, you have email address full of problems with the website. So throughout the journey, I understood that I'm never going to be ready for this. The fear will never be smaller. I'm always going to be worried about what I'm doing. The only change is that the stakes are going to get bigger, and the problems that I'm solving are also going to get bigger. So right now, I'm not scared of communicating with people, of leading a team. I'm not scared of creating a website, but I'm still scared of creating and signing deals, or expanding internationally with our projects. I'm also a bit scared about, giving a TED talk. It's all kind of new to us. This fear will never go away. But the lesson I learned is that you need to approach it with radical naivety. It's the first step into building anything new and anything great. Radical naivety is the belief that you're the one that's going to make it. And I know it sounds silly in a world where 90% of startups fail within the first year. Well, be naive. Trust yourself. Because radical naivety was the reason why I reached out to the Ministry of Education in the first place. I thought I could really help them. I didn't know everything I had to know to create a website, but I had the motivation and the power to do stuff. It's very important to ask more questions than really looking for answers. Because thanks to us, always asking questions in this first radical naive step was that we had a broad range of answers. We were not focused on looking for yes or no, but we were looking for questions to be answered. This helped us create a project management system for the whole team. It also helped us to create a first Facebook and Instagram page for the Ministry of Education. Imagine that. 5 years ago, they were not communicating through social media. It was crazy. So radical naivety also helped us to get into a second project. And to tell you a story, it was a project with the US Navy. A mentor of ours came to us and said, hey guys, there is a challenge posted by the US Navy where you can win $30,000. And the challenge itself was pretty tough. We had to create a software tool which would enable them to create replacement parts while only giving 15 inputs into the tool. The software parts were hand wheels. It's a small thing you put on a pipe and turn it. And they had over 150 types of these hand wheels on a ship. So, they cannot have a whole storage room in the ship for hand wheels. They want to have a single piece of material that gets turned into a concrete hand wheel. And we worked on it for 2 months. We were naive enough to think that we will win, but we have no reassurances. And it turns out that yes, we were the youngest one ever to win a US Navy challenge. We were 16 and 17 back then. And the second most important lesson that we were taught was to do it and ask for permission later. Yeah. Imagine there was this fine print on the challenge itself saying that we can only get the prize money if you're an American citizen or an American company. We were 16-year-old Slovaks, so we were scared, right? We worked for 2 months on this amazing software tool. We were very proud of it. And then this last step of the whole journey was the problem. So we found a shepherd, a guy from the US Air Force Academy who managed to submit the solution for us. But if we did not build it at first, be naive enough to think that we will win, we would never get to where we were. And we would never win the challenge itself. And what's important is for you to understand that right now you're stepping into adulthood. There's not going to be a tutorial or, some kind of video you can watch on how to live your life. You no longer have to follow rules of your parents or your teachers. The only important person will be you. And learning that you can do stuff at first and then ask for permissions later enables you to do just that. Explore the world on your own, and if something goes wrong, then say sorry. A few years later, we moved into bigger projects, right? We understood that if we want to create something really meaningful, we cannot be focused on doing cool high school projects. We had to create a venture or a project that would grow with us, even after we leave high school. So, my friend Jakub had an idea of creating small picoballoons. It was his after-school hobby, which turned out to be a great venture idea. Because thanks to these small chips, you can have around 1,000 times more information about the weather than you get from the traditional devices. They're also 20 times smaller than any other alternative on the market, and they have around 500 times longer lifespan. What's important about this project is that we were just building something that we liked. We had a few friends coming over, working on the electronics together, and then just, reading about meteorology as we were going on. We had a project in our hands that seemed big. It seemed that it can actually make an impact. And right now, after 4 years of development, we're finally doing another generation of the probe, 11 at this point, and we'll be launching it as a company next year. And what this taught us is that there's a lot of different industries that actually helped us manage to do it. We used our knowledge from brands, we used our knowledge from marketing, from building a website. We also used all the knowledge we had with communicating within the team and the project management itself. We also launched a second venture that was focused on connecting students with corporate opportunities. And this enabled us to look into industries like insurance, banking, medtech, or automotive. And all of these different industries, these different ideas and topics that we were not familiar with in the beginning helped us understand the third biggest lesson that we ever had. And the lesson is that creativity is a skill. It's not something you're born with, it's not just mere luck, it's actually something you can train. And I think if you want to live in a sandbox and take on high risk, high reward decisions, you need to work on your creativity. As Mark Beatty said, it's the ability to solve problems and leverage opportunities. So it's not really about thinking of a unicorn. It's not really about thinking of a new painting. It's about solving problems. And I think that's something you're all very familiar with from school. But as soon as you have the radical naivety to go into something ambitious, something that's truly yours, you have the mindset of building and asking for permission later, and you already train your creativity, you can manage to do great things, and in the end build something that is truly yours. Something that you know from the beginning till the end. And to tell you a short story about this, training your creativity can have different looks. It can mean going to a subject you are not interested in before in school. It can mean connecting brands, employer branding with, for example, biology. It can mean connecting toothbrush and a drone. No one actually knows which two areas will help you to be creative in your life. But the important lesson there is to keep exploring them, is to keep moving, looking for new challenges, and taking on the highest risk to reward problems that you see. Because currently you're young. You don't have any commitments. You can choose to do risky stuff. You still have a place to go back to. You still have a school that's not going to move anywhere. And you still have a lot of years in front of you. By purposefully choosing to do high risk and high reward problems, you're enabling to push yourself on the edge. And I believe that you only truly teach yourself a lot of new stuff when you are on the edge of your knowledge. It's in the moments when you feel the most uncomfortable. It's in the moments where you don't really know what you're doing. But being on this edge enables you to take in so much more information than you would without. And if you're on this edge, I want you all to understand that building something that's truly yours is a joy. It's like playing in a sandcastle or in a sandbox. It's basically creating your own world of ideas, creating your own venture that's only true to you and true to your values and true to your emotions. So next time, when you'll be thinking about what to do with your free time, I want you all to think about the highest risk you can take and the highest reward you can get for it. So for example, this could be applying to your dream university. This could be creating your first online business. But this can also mean learning some new sport that you thought was irrelevant. And thanks to all of that, I want to welcome you to my Sandbox.